Hello guys, welcome to Speaking English podcast. I'm your host Bella and I'm here to help you to improve your English listening and gain new perspective of the world. Every episode I share with you motivating stories and fascinating facts about our planet, different countries and cultures. We talk about human brain, emotions, happiness, love and friendship. This is not just a language podcast. It is a podcast about life, beautiful itself. Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm super excited to be here today. It's been a while, so I can't postpone it anymore. We have to do this, so we're doing it. I apologize for my voice. I still have some allergies, so it might sound funny a little bit. But as I said, we're doing it. And the topic I chose for today is knowledge. Is it a power or a pain? And some people might ask, why do we even ask this question? We know knowledge is obviously always good. It's always beneficial and it can help you. Kind of the more you know, the better. And I honestly used to think so. However, since recently, I start thinking, is that really the case? If so, then why it doesn't seem helping us, people in 21st century, who got the most amount of knowledge, I should say. Our generation is definitely the smartest people at all times. Yet, it doesn't really help and it doesn't fix our environmental, social, even financial problems. It doesn't fix family problems and mental problems. So I think it's a good topic to discuss today. So let's begin. I should probably start saying that, of course, there's no question that knowledge is absolutely needed. We know for sure that without knowledge, many things that we have now would not be possible. Without knowledge, we could not develop, we could not grow, we could not improve. Without knowledge, life would be boring, almost no sense. Without knowledge, we don't have values. So many of us would agree that learning something new or gaining knowledge is a very enjoyable process, really. It is especially true for us, language lovers. I know many of us would agree because we talk a lot and we came to the realization that what makes us want keeping learning some new stuff like new languages is this exciting feelings that when you're gaining or you're getting a completely new piece of information and it creates a new cells in your brain. And it is truly an amazing ability that our brain has. And it was designed by our creator, I believe, so we can enjoy life and enjoy developing and discovering. And the process is everlasting. We never stop learning. You live, you learn. But that is where I see the problem. The contradiction I see here is that you cannot live without knowledge, but living with lots of it doesn't really help you either. And let me explain why I say this. If you think about it, there is never an end to how much you can learn. So the amount of knowledge itself, how much you know something or how much you generally know, It's not the correct measure that you measure your happiness in life, right? The amount of knowledge doesn't buy you happiness. The amount of knowledge doesn't buy you peace. It doesn't establish peace in the world. The amount of knowledge doesn't make us feel loved and appreciated. So just want to say that knowledge is important and it's fundamental, but it's not the only thing we need. And I want to share with you a statement that just hit me recently. And I'm sure you've heard that before. King Solomon, I'm sure you've heard about him. A very famous character, and his story is recorded in the Bible. He's known as the wisest man, and I do enjoy reading his God-inspired writings. So Solomon reflects on God-given wisdom, and that affected Solomon's heart and brain, and having enough time, resources, and insight to do so. Solomon decided to examine everything that had been done under the heaven, right? So he got this goal to figure out the life. And in his writings, he mentioned that he saw the most of it that was vanity and striving after wind. So this is what hits me when I read, it's written in Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 18. He says here, for an abundance of wisdom brings an abundance of frustration, so that whoever increases knowledge increases pain. And this is very deep and interesting. Just think for a moment. Let's just concentrate on that. Those who increase knowledge increase the pain. And we know for sure that Solomon did not want to put knowledge in the negative way, because he actually was the one who got a lot of knowledge from his God. And he was so rich, he was so smart, and he was so wise and popular that his reputation talked for him for all that surrounded the world in the Middle East. And until today, books he wrote and his words, they sound very reasonable, and they've got lots of practical advices. So definitely he did not mean that there's no point of learning something. I don't think he meant that there's no point really in learning something new and gaining knowledge in any field. I'm sure there is more than that. So it seems that he was emphasizing that the more knowledge you have, the more pain you get. So how can that be? I was thinking. It made me think. And I did some research, as usual. You know me. I do like doing my research. So I wanted to share with you what I found. And again, as usual, I remind you guys and I encourage you, do your research, do your personal independent research, and try to get different angles and different opinions. It's nice to see a matter from different angles. So this is what I found. The thing is that when you, let's say as a human being, we gain knowledge and wisdom in many fields, and we explore really deeply some specialized field, and such knowledge and wisdom may be proper in itself. There's nothing bad in it. However, with such increased knowledge and wisdom, someone will become even more aware of how limited his opportunities are to use this knowledge and wisdom, because the life is short, and because the problems and bad conditions that we confront sorry, you see my allergies coming up. The knowledge and wisdom that we gain, we cannot always use it to the full, because life is short and full of problems and bad conditions. So that is creating frustration. And we can see we are all witnesses of this increased pain, because in the world today, when there is more knowledge available in our libraries and schools and other institutions for gathering information than ever before, and yet at the same time, there has never been more pain on the part of mankind. You see? That is the contradiction I feel is obvious. And that is logical for me. That seems very logical to me. And there is one more thing I wanted to share, because we are living in an imperfect world, and everything is so imperfect, and people are so imperfect, that we cannot really keep the balance, because everything in the world should be in a balance, right? Life should be in a balance. It's supposed to be balanced in everything. And if you take a look in universe and nature, everything's got this beautiful harmony and balance, except people in everything that people do. Anyways, back to topic. So because there is no balance, we cannot find that golden mean or middle ground, if you wish. How to use that knowledge, and how much knowledge do we really need? Plus, remember a previous episode we talked about that knowledge is a responsibility. And I want to tell you even more for me. That the more you understand, the heavier it gets on you. I mean, life becomes more difficult because you know so much. And there is this beautiful book written by a Russian writer. It says, I'm not sure the name now. I think it was Woe from the Wit. It talks about that every piece of information you have comes with responsibility and with accountability. And we've seen so many examples of how every discovery that was made by human was not used to the best, unfortunately. It could have been used only for good, such as a nuclear bomb or any other thing. There was a breaking through knowledge. It was super discovery, and it could have been very beneficial, but it came out that unfortunately it became a dreadful weapon if we're talking about nuclear bomb. So what I'm trying to say is that knowledge is always a responsibility, and it always has two sides. And there is always this ethical question, how to use knowledge. So that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this topic. Not the easiest one, but important one. And to bring that information home, since we're talking about knowledge and how it affects us, someone who knows 4 languages, I'm speaking about myself, it does not really make me smarter than somebody else. It does not make me happier than somebody else. It doesn't for sure make me better than somebody else. It really doesn't. What it does to me, and what it shows me, that how much I don't really know, how much more I need to learn, how much more information there is out there. and I'm not even aware of it. And I wish I could have enough time to learn. But the thing is, we don't have that time. So from one hand, it makes me want to learn more, but at the same time, I have to stop myself and tell myself that sometimes it's just not realistic. You cannot fit all the knowledge of the world. It's impossible. And the second reason is that there is always more and more information out there every day. So we can't really keep up with that. And that is what happens. It's a vicious cycle, right? The more you know, the more you realize how few you know. And that's a dilemma that many genius had at their times, like Albert Einstein was complaining that the more I learn, the more I realize how much I don't know. I like his words here. Also, one, I think it was Socrates, he said, the more I know, the more I realize I know nothing. So I'm sure you've heard that before. And since it's a language podcast, let's finish it up. I want to ask you, do you know English or do you speak English? Because I know many students who know English. They know all the grammar rules. They know lots of words. They understand when they read. But they don't speak the language, which is really the most important part. And on the other hand, I know students who, from the very beginning, with a very limited vocabulary and grammar, not even knowing lots of rules, they started speaking. They didn't allow that language barrier to prevent them from really practicing and using those words that they know. So the question remains, do you know the language or do you speak it? Think about it. That's it for me. Thank you for listening. Take care, and I'll see you next time. And it brings us to the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I would love to hear your feedback, guys. I'm sure you too have a story to share. Please feel free to email me to learnwithbella@gmail.com. Thanks for being here with me today. It has been a pleasure. I'm your host, Bella. Take a good care, speak English, and make sure to come back. Bye.